Hey, this is Mike with Superior Tradelines. Today we're talking about primary trade lines and why we should stop talking about primary trade lines.
Perfect. Mike, as just a baseline question, can you talk a little bit about what primary trade lines are?
Sure. So primary trade lines are accounts that you open. They don't belong to someone else. They didn't previously belong to someone else. You open the account, you've maintained it, you are keeping it in good shape.
Okay, so that's a pretty big scope. So let's narrow it down for the purpose of this video. I guess, what is the context of primary trade lines for the purpose of this video?
So we get a lot of people asking questions about wanting to add and purchase primary trade lines. And we just find it's something that doesn't work. What we do is the authorized user system, enhancing credit. And there's a lot of, for lack of better words, bad information out there that outlines that primary trade lines are the way to go to enhance credit. And that's why we need to stop talking about it, because it's just wrong information.
Perfect. Okay, so you kind of touched on it a little bit, but tell me how this kind of came about. Why are people even searching for primary trade lines for a credit enhancement mechanism?
So there's a little bit of history behind this. It all stems from about 2008. There was a period of time where FICO was talking about removing the authorized user system or adjusting it so it wouldn't provide the same level of benefit. None of that came to pass. But because of that, there's still information out there, it's dated, that people are finding. And I'll tell you, every day I speak to someone that says, what about FICO 08? And this is the occurrence where authorized user trade lines were almost not considered. And I think that's the reason that a lot of people are looking for primaries. They think they're going to work better, when in actuality they don't.
Very good. We're going to get to some of the results of what people would call a primary trade line in a second. Before we get to that, is it even possible to buy a primary trade line?
Yes and no, okay? So you can go and pay for a secured account. You can go to a bank, give them an X amount of dollars, and they'll give you a line of credit for that same value. That is a primary account and will fulfill that requirement on a credit report if you need a primary account. The problem is the account's still a liability. There's no payment history associated with it, as opposed to an authorized user trade line, a seasoned product that provides history and provides that level of enhancement. So that's one. The other thing that exists, and it technically exists, but it really doesn't, is the assumable accounts. These were common in mortgage loans and kind of smaller banks, where one person would open a line of credit or a loan, they would originate, they'd maintain it, and then they could give it to someone else who would assume it. That technically exists on paper. No banks touch it anymore. It's too much of a liability. It rarely works. In 8 years of doing this, I've never seen an assumable account. In theory, again, I've experienced it. If you go to mortgage school or any type of lending institution, they do talk about it. But again, in practicality, it doesn't really exist.
Yeah, and something just dawned on me. If you're assuming that debt, you have a potential to decrease your credit score. Is that correct?
It is a liability. It's debt. So with that, you gain the idea of having this loan on your credit reports, but there's debt associated with it, which is going to limit buying power, and it affects the overall score, and not in a positive way.
Right, and I guess that is the major contrast between an authorized user and a primary account, whereas with a primary, you're inheriting debt. With an authorized user, you're not, so it only affects your score. Is that pretty much how it works?
That is accurate, yes.
Okay, now, there's probably a lot of people out there watching this video right now who are probably either frustrated or maybe doubt the information that you're saying because, it sounds good to buy primaries. I guess how would you address some of the concerns that people have for the validity of the information that we're talking about when it comes to primary trade lines?
So I'll be the first, if I am wrong about this, I'll be the first person to admit it. In all the years of being in the credit services industry, I have yet to see someone actually be able to purchase a primary that was beneficial. Again, we talked about secured accounts, but again, I've yet to see it happen. If I'm wrong on this, I'll be the first one to admit it, make a comment on the video. I'll gladly get back to you on it.
And I guess there's some legal issues that we probably shouldn't touch, but what are your thoughts on some of the legalities of the primaries? Have you seen any things with regard to that?
So I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say what is legal or illegal. I can say I've done a lot of reading. Department of Justice does talk about it. There's some good literature to find out there to explain that this can't be done. Yeah, that's, again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to dig too far in the legality stuff. There's some good information, and if you're really, really concerned and have maybe found someone who claims they can do it, get a hold of the contract, retain an attorney, have them review it and do some research.
Very good, perfect. And then I guess ultimately, it seems that we're searching for tools rather than results or focusing on goals. So what would be like the main takeaway as it relates to primary trade lines versus authorized user, et cetera?
So, I mean, we've been talking all this stuff about primary trade lines, and the reason why is people think it is a viable tool to enhance credit. And let's forget about tools for a second. Let's stay focused on the goal, the mortgage, the auto loan, new credit cards, the loan, whatever it might be. And if you're focused on that goal, we can help figure out the appropriate process and tools to achieve it. So feel free to reach out to us on our website, superiortradelines.com. You can also reach out to me directly, mike@superiortradelines.com. My number is 321-799-6155.
Thanks, Mike. This was awesome information.
No problem. Have a great day.